audio? Audio. The video.
The video's on already.
It's on.
It's on? Alright. So welcome everyone at the Cusp of Freedom, where we'll be talking about why and how we became who we are, the problems of our world, and what we can do in our daily lives to make this world a better place for those coming after us. On this episode, I'm honored to have a guest and a very good friend of mine, Eli Wallace, to explain his life journey and what you can take from it in order to be better and in order to do better in your life. Without further ado, we'll jump straight right into it. So Eli, do you want to tell us how you came upon being here in Colombia and some of the things that you've done throughout your life that could serve people as life lessons in theirs?
Well, it's been a long journey to make it here, almost 25 years to be exact. I left the United States when I was 16 years old, which is almost 25 years ago, so I'm about 41 now. And yeah, okay, so it's been a long journey, but basically getting out of the normal routines and stuff opened my eyes to something that it never really let me go back inside the system, let's call it, of normal ways of thinking where you have a regular life that where you grow up and then you see yourself as other people see you. But I was able to step outside of that to a point that I was like, you know what? My life can be whatever I want to make it, and it doesn't really matter how anybody else sees me at the end of the day. It's how I see myself that's really important. The possibilities are endless. So I mean, that was the first step on the road, is to realize that anything's possible and you can be whoever you want to be. But of course, you're going to pay some price for that. At the end of the day, you have to decide how much is worth it for you. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs on the road that brought me here. So maybe you're going to ask a more specific question.
So getting out of our comfort zone is one of the things that some of us struggle with. We struggle to ask ourselves what makes us happy, and we struggle to understand what we need to do in order to be or live a happier life. Eli is living a life that's way out of the norm from most people that I've met throughout my career, all throughout my existence. And I think that his story is very different and very special because it shows courage, and it shows the willing to just dive head in first into something that you have no idea or of what the outcome would look like. But you step out of your comfort zone in order to discover a different perspective of living that can truly make you happy. What are some of the experiences that you've gone through throughout these 25 years that have shaped your experience or have shaped your way of thinking in a way that makes you see the world in a different view than most people? And how do you see the world? What is your take on the state of the world at the moment, and what are you doing to keep yourself sane throughout all this chaos?
Well, that's a good question. All right. Well, so when I first left out, I ended up in my first trip. I ended up in the Mexican desert on my own, like out there in the peyote fields, and I had an experience with the peyote cactus that kind of was the beginning of, because I experienced something that I realized that I was never going to be able to share with anybody else. And so I realized that actually my life isn't about anybody else, because there's a point at which you can't really share who you are or what you see with anybody. So really you have to be the center of your own life, not in a selfish way, but you have to understand that that's just the nature of existence, is that we are the centers of our own worlds, and that's as it should be. I mean, maybe it sounds selfish in a sense that we're the center of the world, but for life to function properly, everybody has to put themselves first in some, and then we will see that the way we're all created is is that when everybody really loves themselves and puts themselves first, then the world will be in harmony. But the complication with that is some people don't really know their true selves. They have a false idea of themselves that they've picked up from television or from other people's opinions of trying to be somebody else who they're really not. But if people are true to who they really are, to their true self, then we'll see a lot of harmony in the world, because that's just nature is created that way to make harmony in and of itself. So, I mean, I learned that at a young age, that I had experiences that I was never going to be able to share with anybody, and I needed to just be able to stand with that without needing any validation from anything outside of me or from any other person, because that's what I'd see a lot of problems, is people seeking validation from other people. In the end, there'll always be somebody who doesn't validate you the way you want to be validated or whatever. So you just have to give up on the whole idea of external validation and be your own authority in your life. And then voila, that simplifies things a lot. And if people like you, they like you. And to be honest, the more independent you are, probably the fewer people are going to like you, because misery loves company, to put it briefly. So if you're independent and people see that you can't be manipulated, or that you don't really need them to agree with you, then a lot of times they'll think, oh, you're arrogant. It's actually the opposite of arrogance. But that you'll encounter a lot of opposition when you try to just live your own truth and be independent and be free of what's like common knowledge or the consensus opinion about how to see the world. So the question about how to see the world is really the interesting question in life. I think that at the end of the day, answering these kind of things is really the most valuable thing. You'll find if you go through life accumulating material or social status or connections and this and that, you'll find at the end of the day it's not that meaningful. But what really is meaningful is your ability to be true to yourself and to experience something genuine and authentic for yourself that it's just for you, and you know it's true, and you don't, whether somebody else knows it or not doesn't make any difference. So that's freedom, when you realize you have what you need already to live your life, and then other people can be just an added benefit beside that.
Wow, those are some deep words from you, Eli. I have nothing to add to that. I think you have a lot of wisdom, and you shared a lot. You shined a lot of light on very key topics that I was gonna ask. And at this point, I'm just curious if one finds themselves in a situation where they find it really hard to be themselves, given that they grew up in an environment that made them feel validated in order for them to do things, or in an environment that put doubt in their mind, how do they get out of that state of being where they're not really themselves, and get out of that comfort zone into a place where they can take risks or take a chance with just being who they think they are? Like, how do you get out of a mindset of feeling doubtful or of needing somebody else's validation to be better or to feel better?
Well, you just have to take, like, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So you have to understand clearly the concept of what you're aiming at, and then you just have to give it a try. But okay, so you give it a try, but you have to understand what constitutes a return on investment, or what constitutes like proof that you're getting somewhere in your process. And so you need to open up to idea of you have like personal proof. So you have something that is proved to you. Maybe it's not proved to anybody else around you, but for you, it has been proven true. So you have this idea of there is something that is true because I have experienced it and I have lived it. So it's true because like a way of thinking. Let's say you're going to experiment with thinking outside of the box of your family, or thinking outside of the box of your friend group or something like that, and then just experiment with it. So you just think it, and then you see what is the result. What is the results of your experiment? So you gotta treat yourself, your own life, like a science lab. Like, so what you're doing, your thoughts and your ideas and your attitudes are all like chemicals that you put in the petri dish. And let's put a little bit of this belief here, and a little bit of this kind of thinking here, and a little bit of this material substance like money or time or something that you're gonna invest in something. So it's like your own life is a science lab. And then what are the results of the lab is your actual state of being, is like your actual awareness and consciousness that, wow, I feel like such a different person, or now I realize these truths, or now I understand these things about myself or about life. So those are the results that you're looking for, is nothing outside of you. So the results happen inside of you, that you don't need any further proof. You don't need anyone to tell you, yeah, you're right about that. Because, I don't know, it's not even for them to know. So you have to understand that you have to get to a place where, you know, your life is only yours to live. And again, like, it can't really be shared with anybody else, and that's okay. But if you have that proof in yourself of your own understanding, then the sky's the limit, because honestly, our understandings can reach so far beyond what we're told in school, or what we're told by our family or by our peers, of what's possible for us to know and understand. So you have to set that goal of knowing and understanding as your bank account of life. Like, the real bank account of life is how much you know and understand and are aware and are clear-headed of and accept and experience. Because the more you can understand and know and be aware of, the better experience you have. So basically, your personal experience in life is the proof of your ideas.
Wow, that's some pretty deep thoughts there. So basically, just to reframe what you just said, being curious is a good thing, because the more curious you are about trying new things and learning more about yourself, and also not really caring about what people think of you trying these things and having your own conceptual agreements of what's true and what's not, is the key to finding out or discovering who one is, and to living a life worth living.
I would just make one caveat. I wouldn't say you don't care. Like, you should listen to people. You can listen to somebody and you can take that for what it is. That doesn't mean you have to accept it. You can listen to them. Maybe it's a good idea. So you should not necessarily listen to people, but you shouldn't necessarily listen to them either. I mean, you can listen to them, but you shouldn't necessarily accept what they say. And you can understand what people say, like, why would they say that? You don't have to take it directly as what they say, but you can think behind, like, maybe they have a reason to say this or that. So you can't count on everybody knowing exactly who they are either.
Alright. Yeah, I understand that. That's really deep. So basically, you can take everything with a grain of salt, and choose what you can listen to people, but you can also have the ability to think for yourself and reasons with you in order for you to be who you are.
So what it's like, you don't put an authority, you don't have an authority in your life higher than yourself, actually.
Wow, that's some pretty deep thoughts there. I think you've said enough for anyone who is actually listening to and is really willing to take the chance with themselves to be better, can actually use these wise words to be better and to live better lives, or have a better life experience throughout their time here on earth. So what are some of the key problems you think we have in our world, and what do you think one can do in their lives for it to have a domino effect, such that, I guess you've already said it, you said everyone just needs to be themselves on a
I mean, the key problems is our lack of awareness or our false beliefs, I think, in what it means to be human or what it means to be who ourselves. And we have these false starting points, basically, in of like, this is how reality has to be seen. So basically, it's a shift in consciousness, probably, that is the solution to where we are. So, I mean, we have to kind of unlearn some things about what we are so sure of, and then just say, well, actually, we don't really know. And then when we start out with that openness, then the universe will come in to fill that void with information. So there is a truth behind it, but it isn't a truth that we learn from outside of ourselves, but it's a truth that only we can realize ourselves. That's the simplest way I can put it as for a solution to the world's problems. Obviously, there's a lot of different levels of things. So I'm talking on the ultimate level. I'm not denying that there are problems on all these other levels. So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, this kind of awareness, well, it's like in the Bible it says, seek first the kingdom of God, and then all things will be added onto you. So it's kind of like, if you have this ultimate ideal in mind, then the other stuff will work itself out too, because there's a lot of different kind of problems in life. But that's what I can offer to help, is just an inner knowing of being connected to your true self, and that's, that's it. It's kind of simple, but it's useful, very useful.
So I guess one of the main topics that comes to mind when I think of like doing what you feel, like going out of your comfort zone to try new things in order to discover and experience the world through your own perspective, but that most people think is like a taboo, I would say is like drugs. For example, like alcohol is one of the worst drugs out there, and it's available to everyone. But some of the best drugs that I've heard word of mouth from other people are illegal or seems to be a taboo in society. And I'm just wondering, like, why do you think some drugs are seen as a taboo? And what is your general take on people experiencing with different chemicals or different natural chemicals to see the world from a different perspective, just as you did in that desert in Mexico?
Well, actually, I've given a lot of thought to it, and I don't think that there's no accidents in life, so it's not for no reason that those drugs are prohibited. And for some reasons, to protect people who are not able to deal with that, and for another reason, there has to be that divide of, there has to be an exoteric group of people for there to be an esoteric group of people. So that there has to be those who don't really understand for there to be those who understand. It's like the night meets the day, or the opposites are complementary in some sense. So there has to be that kind of dividing line between being in the know and being, just kind of like part of the crowd. And so, and obviously there's a lot of different reasons why, there's a lot of different forces at play. Like a lot of the media that we see is a kind of drug in itself. It's for the same reason that drugs are illegal, is to control what people think or the way they think. And because there's forces that want people to think a certain way, because that makes life flow in certain ways as well. It makes life function in this way. So there's reasonings behind it, but the thing is, until you're ready to go ahead and be your own authority and say, well, this is a plant or a mushroom or a drug or something that exists in reality, and who is anyone else to tell me I can't do it, or like, you have to be totally responsible for your own life and say, to be your own authority. So the question of illegality, you could end up in jail. That's one of the possible consequences of your actions that you have to take responsibility for. and and that's kind of part of what makes drugs like psychedelics and things so useful, is that there is that big risk involved there, and it's like, well, with big risks come big payoffs. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I don't know. I see there's a kind of perfection in the world as it is, so that okay, yeah, those things are illegal, but that's kind of as it should be on some level.
So we've mentioned that one must do what they feel is necessary for them to gain the perspective or the right glasses through which they can look the world through and experience life in the best way possible. Now, to gain a perspective, we've said is one of the most valuable things you can gain throughout your existence here on Earth. And personally, I think traveling has opened my perspective by meeting people such as Eli and many others whom I've come across who have shared their experiences with me and given me a better perspective of how I can view the world. What do you think about traveling? And you've been traveling for so long. Like, what has been your experience with like meeting new people, and has meeting people changed your perspective in any ways, as drugs have, or have meeting people been more of a reality check in a certain way from your perspective?
Well, it said that life is like a book, and people who don't travel only read one chapter. Kind of like, it's really, as far as meeting people, meeting whole different cultures. Like, I spent years in India and in the Arab world, and living with in Asia for a long time. So meeting a lot of those different cultures and cultural ideas, and realizing that the American way isn't normal in any sense. There's nothing. It's completely unique, and it's okay, but it has no authority to say, oh, this is normal and this is weird culture. So cultures, like experiencing different cultures, seeing different things, and the world, if you travel enough, the world starts to feel a little small too, and then you realize, wow, the human mind has a capacity that is almost bigger than the whole world. It's easy to understand that when you start really exploring meditation and drugs and traveling and stuff, that your geographical location is far less important than your level of awareness. But obviously, connecting with the whole Earth as a whole, and going around the world, and those kind of experiences really help you better connect with yourself. You feel like a world in and of yourself, that you don't feel locked down by countries. Obviously, we're very privileged to have American passports and things like that other people, and dollars that other people don't have access to. But it's better that we make the most of it than just wait until the whole world can be equal like that. So, but you learn a lot, and traveling is just, some people say they're bored, but when you have traveling in mind, the idea of getting bored never really comes to you. You're like, there's so many different ways to explore, and people to meet, and beautiful places to go, and things to learn. And you can also share who you are with the world. It's not only the world sharing with you, but you've got to, the world is what it is because of you too. We bring something special to the table, so that you shouldn't give up on that, miss out on that opportunity either.
That's very deep. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, Eli, about traveling, experiencing life, and gaining different perspectives by going out of our comfort zones to explore the world from different perspectives. Is there any last thing you want to leave our audience with, so that they can take with them? Any last words of wisdom as key of advice to give them that last push they need to be empowered in order to leave their comfort zone and live better experiences throughout their life?
I would say, just don't forget the importance of you in the equation. Like, you can make all the difference. You are the laboratory. So just open up your life realize that you're in charge of the experiment and you're gonna get the results of the experiment. So be careful how you make the experiment, but be brave and keep the faith. And you know the world is your oyster. It's waiting there for you to discover. And so just don't be scared. Just be smart. Be cautious. And go for it. That's all you gotta do. Is don't. At the end of the day, listen to yourself. Don't listen too much to anybody else. It's a grain of salt, like we said. If I put anyone else's word before mine in my life, I would never have the experience that I have. So sometimes you have to just know when to let people say what they're going to say, but you just do what you're going to do anyway.
Wow, those are some very deep words, Eli. It's been a really enormous pleasure and an honor to have you on this podcast. And I'm really blessed to have you as a friend. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah. I'll try my best, and hopefully we get some traction on this. Hope everyone has a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ooh, let's go. This stuff, Eli. Oh my God, yo, why is this fuck, bro? 26 minutes.
Hopefully there's some good stuff there.
Hell yeah. I just hope because my computer went black. I don't know if the audio. Alright, it's still recorded, yeah.